Howdy, folks. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics, doing another IronVerse Quickies. This time on John Sable, Freelance, Shatter, and I think the entire anthology or the two stories that are told in here is called Torch Song. Uh, Very odd presentation. It's not very clear. There's only two tales in here, and one was clearly called Shatter. The other, I think, is a John Sable story, and it's called Torch Song. Mainly because it's about him arriving on Ellis Island and what that caused. But, anywho, a little context on this, right? I have no idea how I ended up possessing this thing. Probably one of the random eBay comic buys I was doing when I started doing collecting comics and reading comics. But when looking for books to check out for IronVerse Quickies, and I looked through it, there was a story called Shatter in here, and its pixel art presentation just struck me, so I had to check this out on an IronVerse Quickies. Um, so let's just dive into it and where it goes, and we'll talk about it, and I'll show you the art, and go from there. The first tale of the two that I could find in here, even though it's got three titles, very confusing to me, um, I believe is called John Sable Freelance. I think it's an ongoing. I also think Shatter was an ongoing. Um, so that might be part of the division, I feel, when I'm reading this, but we'll see. Um, the story that's in here follows John arriving from a World War II France as a child to Ellis Island. We see a bit of the man who adopted him and the struggles that decision created for John's new family and for John. This later is contrasted against adult John and his romantic insecurities. Um, the art is stylish and it does a good job of setting that noir feel, and the pacing is really good. The voice is very clear. It's a decent read, but it doesn't have much meat to it. Maybe if it is a ongoing, that might add the meat. I like the art. I like the art a lot. I think, yeah, see, it is John Sable Torch Song, I think is exactly what it's entitled there, so hopefully that clears that up. But I like this type of art. We don't get this coloring very often anymore. We don't really get this kind of art anymore. It's very emotional. Did a really good job. It's basically just explores a little bit of his childhood, a little bit of his history, and then it's him talking to another woman and about how that kind of busted his ability to trust and love, and then they kind of move past that by the end. Really a nice little noir kind of history tale for Mr. John Sable. Um, so that one definitely worth reading. Um, Definitely, it doesn't have much meat, and didn't feel like it had much of a point. But if it's an ongoing or something, then that makes sense, and maybe it was just a character building issue, right? Um, it doesn't have a number either, so it could have just been the first appearance. I really don't know much about this book, and I know even less about First Comics. So hopefully that kind of talks about it a little bit on that John Sable Freelance Torch Song. Now onto the thing that made me open this book, right? Well, it didn't make me open it. It made me want to look at it, and that was Shatter. So let me get to it. Yeah, here we go. We'll give the first page. It's this freaking cool pixel art presentation. Let it go. Boom. I don't know. There was something so cool about this feeling like the high end of like a 90s video game. Like the cutscenes and such. It was just one big like that I was really excited to read. And it's readable. And the paneling is interesting. And the art style is interesting. But here, the second tale, though, as I say in here, Shatter, um, is interesting, as I keep saying. Its art style is something I hadn't seen anywhere else, done on early PCs, it looks like. If not done in the style of being done on early PCs, even with the lettering and the paneling and the speech. Um, Sadly, that was its best merit, as a story which follows a future cop in a poorly defined dystopia who catches some street punks trying to murder a bush baby. Yeah, I'll show you that in a second. It completely lacked direction or purpose, from what I could tell. I love seeing different ways to create comics, and for that it's worth checking out. But as a story, this first outing, as far as I can tell it's the first outing, lacked much merit beyond the novelty of this really cool idea. I'd actually like to see modern folks take up this kind of pixel art style, because you're not going to see another comic like this, and it kind of bothers me. There's the Bush baby, or at least it's. They act like it's an alien at one point. Like, nothing was very fucking clear. It's not a very good story, but the art presentation is a trip. I really thought it was kind of a very novel way to do this. I like it. I just don't think it did much with it. So yeah, if you find this, it's a cool mini anthology. If you can find it in the dollar bin, totally pick it up. Just don't expect more than $1 worth of value for it. The two books in here really contrast. They have nothing to do with each other as far as I can tell, both in the art presentation and story-wise. Maybe because both are, it says freelance, so I think he's a detective. So you have, not even law enforcement, but like criminal element is what links them, I guess. I don't know. But if you want to see some interesting experimentation from an older indie company, definitely worth it. Again, I really wish more folks did this pixel art, because, I mean, look at some of this art. So freaking unique. It's not always good, but it's so unique. It left such a freaking... I don't know. It really left a chord with me, and I really wish the story was better when I read it. But yeah, check it out. Real quick anthology. Two tales in it, even though it kind of looks like three. It's very confusing. I don't like how they did that. But it's a trip, and it's kind of cool to see what indie comics were trying back then. So anyway, I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics. I'll catch you on that rusty IronVerse Comics trail. You folks take care.